Now, on the pro number 7 here, benchmarking opportunities exist within the franchising world. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of compare yourself with other franchisees. Yeah. Can you explain how that works in the franchise world?
It's one of the greatest examples of how franchise organizations work collaboratively with each franchisee. Rather than competing with each other, they're complementing with each other. And to have your peers sharing successes and being competitive and allowing those benchmarks to be shared, it actually, what we call the rising tide raises all ships. So it creates a synergy for the rest of the franchisees to really aspire to follow those examples.
I know in my career, I started, my first businesses was called DJ Connection, and we did wedding entertainment. And I remember when I was doing like one wedding a weekend, I would go meet with some of my competitors and they didn't want to talk to me, and I get it. I don't know why they would want to help me. But then as we grew and we started doing like 30 or 40 weddings a weekend, I didn't really have any other competitors that could relate to me because we were doing so many more weddings than anybody else. And I think in the world of franchising, it's so special that you can actually get on the phone with a franchisee in a different part of the country who doesn't feel threatened by you wanting to pick their brain, and they can help you say, well, this is the kind of results I'm getting, here's how you can tweak it, or here's the systems we use, or I think it's a neat thing. Now on the con side is that benchmarking can often make the business owner feel like corporate expects some sort of unreasonable result. So some guy in Phoenix is just really doing a great job, and you're in Florida saying, man, it's hard. And sometimes corporate wants you to rise to that level there. And so I think maybe the con that franchisees see sometimes is they feel like they're being held accountable to the maniac franchise who's doing the best. Is that right?
Don't hear that terminology often, but there are some examples of that. And some franchisees are going to feel that way because in any franchise system, there's what we call the 20-60-20, the divide of what results franchisees get. So the franchisor doesn't dictate how successful you can drive the model. In fact, that's one of the downsides of being a franchisor is we can't require each franchisee to maximize the results. They really build it based on their own goals, needs, and expectations and their income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity plan. So the 20-60-20, there'll be a top 20% that are doing 3 to 5 times the amount of business. There'll be a bottom 20% that are just getting started or aren't following the system or getting ready to get ready that are on the bottom end of that spectrum. Then you have this wide range in the middle called the 60%. Those 60 and that 20% are all very happy with the results, but they're quite different. So you get to really model the lifestyle that you want from your income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity by how you build your franchise.
And I love that you have that. I've never heard of the 20-60-20 outside of some of the things I've seen you talk about. It's so true.
Oh yeah.
Because you've spoken to countless franchise groups, and I've spoken to several of them as well. And it's interesting, but you'll always get those alphas. They're out there, these men and women, they are just performing that top 20%. The middle is just as content as can be. And then it doesn't matter what franchise it is, there's always that 20% who's just upset. They're not performing. It doesn't really. So if you're watching this and you think about buying a franchise, I really have yet to see an example where everybody's in the top. Every single person's the top, or there's always the bottom discontent. There's always that top 20%. There's always that 60 in the middle. It's amazing how that happens.
It's amazing that you can go through your initial franchise training with a group of 10 or 12 individuals and find out what each individual's income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity goals are and how diverse they'll be. And that's just the beauty of being able to grow and drive your business to the level you desire.
Now we're moving on to pro number 8. Pro number 8. So here we go. It's often easier to attract new employees to a small business that is a franchise, where I guess it's easier to convince people that you're not crazy as a startup when you're coming to an established brand. Is that why it's easier potentially? Or?
It's very much easier to do that. And employees are looking for that employer who has their act together and can offer them the assurances of training and being able to have a career path and being able to grow more predictably, and also typically have a slightly better wage earned from a franchise concept than you may from a non-franchise business.
I want to give an example for the people watching this, because this is a true story. When I started my first business, I remember trying to convince people to come work for me.
Exactly.
And they're like, well, how many locations do you have? One. Where do you office? In my apartment. Where do you meet clients? Here at Panera Bread. I mean, I didn't have that brand, and if I would have had that brand, that the years of history, I could have said, well, our company's been around for 22 years, and we have 400 locations throughout the U.S. or that kind of thing. So I mean, this is I can just tell you, if you've never started a business, that's a huge value right there.